Hey guys, welcome back. 3,000 subscribers and 1 year of sharing this channel with you guys. I am honestly pinching myself. Today is a massive celebration because we've officially hit 3,000 on this channel. Now, to say thank you for being a part of this community, I'll be giving away a $25 West Coast Seed gift card. So stick around because I'll be sharing the entry details with you later on. But first, we have some catching up to do. Now, I have been busy with March Mayhem this month, and I have not provided a seedling update in a very long time. So today we're going to go through the grow racks, take a look at all the seedlings that I have, go through the good, the bad, and the ugly, and answer some viewer questions as well. So before we get started, if you're new here, hi guys, my name is Marcia and I'm the Blackthumbgardener, and I live in Ontario, Canada, Zone 5B, and welcome to my grow room. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back, and thank you so much for supporting my channel. Now let's get started. So if you're new to the channel, I have my grow room in my basement, and I grow 80% of what's in my garden on these two racks behind me. Now I have already spent time going through my grow room setup. If you want to see more about that, then I'll add that video in the description below. I'm excited to show you my seedlings. We're going to start off with herbs. I think we started most of these in my February tea garden video, and just look at the seedlings. This tray is looking so good. Just look at that, incredible. Starting off with lemon balm, just look at that. They are looking so good right now. So I do have 2 cells that haven't germinated, but that's fine. I have about 3 plants here right now. I have reseeded any of the cells that are missing. And then I also have ashwagandha here. I didn't talk about ashwagandha in the tea garden video because I couldn't find the seeds, but I did find them eventually, and so I started them. So I have 1 ashwagandha plant. Next we have menthol mint. Guys, just look at these seedlings. They look so good, so healthy, and they're growing so quickly. I am shocked how quickly these seeds germinated. It was just incredible. Okay, so next we have thyme. And guys, I have to tell you, I think it was in January, we did a soil blocking video. It was my first time soil blocking, and I'm pretty sure I started rosemary and thyme in that video. The thyme did well, the rosemary did not do anything at all. And I've reseeded rosemary a few times and nothing has come up. I am officially giving up on rosemary this season. I do have a rosemary plant that I picked up from Richter's Herbs, but I might just have to buy a rosemary start at my local garden center because I am giving up. I'm not bothering with rosemary anymore, but thyme, we have thyme. I do have 1 cell that didn't germinate. For now, I've just popped in 2 more little seeds and they've already started to germinate. I don't know if you can see that. There we go, right here. So that's exciting. Next, we have one of the hardest seeds ever to germinate, and that is stevia, guys. Stevia, I don't know what it is with stevia. It's just stevia and eucalyptus. Stevia, eucalyptus, and rosemary. Those 3 always give me difficulty when germinating. And I'll talk about eucalyptus in a minute, but those 3, I don't know what it is with those seeds. But anyways, good news. Stevia has germinated. I have 2 just general stevia plants here. 1 just died. And then I have candy stevia. If you're having problems with germinating stevia, I found that candy stevia, I think they had bigger seeds if I remember, and it was so much easier to germinate. And candy stevia is supposed to be sweeter than regular stevia. This is the candy stevia. And then this is just regular stevia. The other thing with stevia I noticed is that when I went to Richter's Herbs and picked up the seeds, that they had the seeds in the refrigerator. And I don't recall on the seed packet ever having to cold stratify my stevia seeds, but maybe that's a tip that would help to give you some germination, because definitely this is the first time I've ever had this many seeds germinate ever. So if you're having problems with germinating stevia, maybe put it in the refrigerator for a week and then try germinating it. Okay, next we have some peppermint, and I do have a lot of mint plants because I love all the flavors and varieties of mint in my garden. We had menthol mint and now we have peppermint. Look at that. They're doing pretty well. Again, I always have like 1 or 2 cells that are struggling, and it happens to be this one. I'm not going to reseed this cell just because I have enough peppermint. Sage! Sage is looking so good, and it's so gorgeous, guys. I am in love with this 6 cell. Like, it's just, the sage is looking good. The sage is saging, guys. Sage is saging. Then we have another herb. This one is one of my favorites, and that's chamomile. I wanted more chamomile in my garden this season, and we have 6 cells of chamomile. Look at that. It is looking, guys, my herbs are looking so good overall. I'm just really happy with them. All right, next we have another member of the mint family, and that is spearmint. Yes, guys, menthol, peppermint, spearmint. And I have another mint somewhere around here. But yeah, spearmint is looking really good. And then I have other things on this tray, and the first one is viola. In general, I'm having trouble with germinating a lot of my viola seeds this year. I have really old seeds. I think those seeds are from like maybe 2021 or 2022. And I haven't bought any more viola seeds just because I haven't seen anything I like. So I've just been growing what I have. And it's been really tough germinating, but I do have 5 cells here of viola. I think next year I'm going to start my viola in January. I think I started these in, I think it was maybe February, maybe end of January or February. So I think I want to start it a little bit earlier. I saw that Garden Answer, she just showed us her pansies, and they were looking really good. I think they were blooming or on the way to blooming. And she had started them in December. So it gave me some idea in terms of timeline. I think I would want to start mine, maybe not in December, because I don't want to start any seeds until January. So maybe I'd start them like 1st of January. That way that by March I'm getting, they're bigger plants, and I'm getting maybe even some blooms at that point. So just a note for next year. When did I start these? Oh, I started these January 23rd. I definitely probably would start them a few weeks earlier, beginning of January. I refuse to start seeds in December. I'm sorry. I will not start seeds in December. The next one that we have in this tray is stock. This one is the Cat's Lavender Blue. This is a gorgeous, I think it's purple stock. Look at that. If you're new to growing flowers and you want something in early spring, stock is an easy one to grow. I find this is easy to germinate as well. If you want a cool flower that's easy to germinate, looks absolutely gorgeous in the garden, then definitely try some stock. So now that we've looked at the herbs, we're going to pause before we look at other seedlings and answer a viewer question. And this one comes from Donzel Cooper. And Donzel, before I start, I do want to send a sincere thank you. You have supported the channel for some time, and I especially want to thank you for your support during Vlogtober. For those who are new to the channel, I did a post every single day for the month of October. It was called Vlogtober, of something that I was doing in my garden to kind of close out the season. And it was very difficult because usually for these challenges I am filming, editing, and posting all in the same day. And I've been doing that with March Mayhem too. I film, edit, and post everything within the same day, and that is very tough to do. I do want to thank Donzel Cooper for supporting me during that time frame, leaving comments, encouraging me, liking the videos. I really, really do appreciate your support, so thank you so much. So your question was, what made me want to do YouTube? Before I started YouTube, I opened my channel up in 2022. I didn't post my first video until January 2025, so it took me 3 whole years to post my first video on YouTube. And that entire time, I was filming content. Even before then, I was posting on Instagram. I would show my seed starting, me planting in the garden, harvesting, etc. But it was a short clip at a moment in time, and it didn't really reflect everything that was happening in my growing process, what was happening in my garden. And at the time, I was working a corporate job in a very senior role, and I was afraid of going beyond Instagram. Even Instagram, I didn't post as much as I would like to because I was honestly afraid of the image that I was presenting. I didn't want them to think that I wasn't committed to the role that I had. And I had a very busy role. I had a huge team I was managing. I had a lot of financial responsibility. That job took a lot out of me. At first, I built my garden as kind of a reprieve for my day-to-day activities. It was kind of my sanctuary. I'd come in and go straight to the garden and just sit there in my chair and hang out and de-stress from all the things that happened in the day. Then I'd get back inside and deal with my family and my kids, etc. During that entire process, I was still filming. I was still, starting seeds indoors. I was doing all the things, but I was really afraid to post anything on my socials just for fear of what people might think, because my image in the office was extremely important to me, how I presented myself. I dealt with a lot of executives at the time, and so making sure that I presented myself as somebody that was committed was important. Guys, I don't know why I did that. It's just how my thought process was at the time. And I did eventually leave that job, and it was probably good timing for me as well, because I got to spend time at home with my son, who will be leaving to go to university in the fall. And so it was just, I spent the time with him just really hanging out and having fun. And in that time frame, I built up the courage to finally post on YouTube in 2025. And I think, looking back, I regret not just posting it at all, because there's nothing crazy I'm doing on YouTube. I'm just, growing a garden, having fun, sharing my journey with people. And I don't know why I was so concerned about my image or what other people thought of me or what my friends and family and coworkers would say. Gardening is a part of my life. It's a part of who I am. I regret not doing that earlier. So part of the reason, part of the trigger for me of posting was to overcome those issues, to have the courage to be able to post, not worry about, what others might think. But it took a long time for me to get to that point of feeling comfortable in posting on YouTube and really building out my social media presence. I would say the other thing too is that I grew up in downtown Toronto. And for those of you from the city, hello. And I didn't live in a complete food desert, but the supermarket was quite a ways away, and my mom didn't drive. So, if we had to go to the supermarket, it was like a taxi ride to go somewhere, especially for the amount of groceries we have, because I come from a big family. One of the things my mom did really early on is she built a garden in her backyard, and it was a very small plot. It's probably like 1/8 of what I have right now in my garden. And I have a small backyard garden too, or what I would consider a small backyard garden. So she built a garden, and she was able to grow additional things like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, onions, things like that she used to kind of supplement her main grocery bill. Not 100%, but we did eat from her garden that she grew in the backyard. And I think that's important, because sometimes we think that gardening is really difficult or just very hard to start up or too expensive, as an example. And I know I buy a lot of seeds and I buy a lot of containers and things like that. When I started off, I just used strawberry containers, or I would go to the dollar store and buy containers. I didn't really spend a lot of money in the beginning. And I want people to understand that gardening can be accessible. I believe growing your own food, or knowing how to grow your own food, is an important life skill. And I know not many people will agree with that, but that's just my own personal belief. And I hope that through my channel, I'm showing that it is possible, no matter how small of a space that you have. So I know that's a long-winded way of answering the question, but I firmly believe that everyone should know how to at least grow something. And I think the act of growing, of putting your hands in the soil, can be therapeutic, and it's a great stress reliever, and it's just a great way to connect with nature. Okay guys, so moving on to onions. We started my onions back in January. I have asparagus here as well. Oh no, I'll deal with that in a second. Okay, so I have a red onion called Cabernet. This is new to me this year, and I'm noticing that the growth habit is a bit slower despite I started this January 12th. And then I also have this is Walla Walla onions. And these are both very sweet onions. This year I decided not to grow a lot of storage onions just because I can buy those for cheap at the grocery store. I wanted to grow something that I couldn't find at the grocery store. And I find that a lot of the sweet onions are really nice to have in the garden, especially in the summertime. So I'm growing Walla Walla and Rosa d'Inverno. I also have asparagus here, and I don't know if you saw the video where I talked about my 4-year-old asparagus seeds. Yes, I had seeds from 2022 that I decided not to grow and only start them this year. So all of the seeds have germinated. They're looking really good. I don't know if you can see that. I just need to figure out where to put them in the garden. While I'm here, I'm going to show you my peppers, and they are looking so good right now. We started these peppers, I started this February 23rd, so this was in my February seed starting video. I think I did this at the end of February, but this is what they look like right now. I think almost every cell has germinated except for one, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I have 2 peppers per cell, so I'm going to have to pot this up and put them into their own containers. But I love this container system that I'm using right now to grow my peppers. This is the Grow Ease seed starting system. And on that note, let's go through the second viewer question that we have. All right, so I had to get my paper for this. So the second question comes from @lovegreen7425. And before I continue, Love Green, thank you so much for supporting this channel. I see you in the comments. I really do appreciate it. Now, Love Green's question was, what made me want to start a channel? And also, is it because Canada had limited quality gardening content? I'm so curious. So I've already addressed why I started a YouTube channel, but I wanted to address the part about being Canadian because there's not a lot of content for Canadians by Canadians. A lot of the gardeners on YouTube are from the US or they're international. Shout out to my UK gardeners. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think, you know, we're in a global environment where people are sharing videos from different areas. Part of the challenges I had when I was starting my growing journey was the fact that I would look at creators on YouTube who are phenomenal, by the way, and I would say, oh, that's amazing. I want to go pick up that Grow Ease kit, or I want to pick up that Bootstrap Farm, or I want to pick up whatever it is that they had. And the challenge was that I could not find the same thing in my local area, or the companies, which are mainly in the US, either didn't ship to Canada or it was very costly to ship to Canada. Being able to source these things, being able to use it, give my opinion, and also provide feedback and where you can get them locally, I think is important because, you know, for a long time I struggled with trying to find certain tools, resources, etc. My hope is that being Canadian and being able to share that with you will help you in your gardening journey as well. So the next thing we're going to look at are my brassicas, and I just posted a brassica video on how you can double your harvest. If you're interested in that, I'll add that down below in the description. But take a look at these guys. It took about 2 days for these to germinate. And one of the things with brassicas, unlike the peppers, they needed a heat mat, they needed a humidity dome. They like it really, really hot when they germinate because you want to mimic the environment that they're used to. With brassicas, it's completely different. No heat mat. I think brassicas do really well with no heat mat. And you can still use a humidity dome that will help to maintain the moisture. But I personally have found over the years, if you use a heat mat with your brassicas, you have a higher likelihood of ending up with leggy brassica seedlings. So if you want to have like strong, healthy seedlings, then you want to make sure that you don't use a heat mat. They love to germinate in cool conditions anyways. Just a quick tip for you if you are growing brassicas this season. We're going to answer one more question. We're going to see another seed tray, and then we're going to get to that giveaway. The third question is from Patty U6K. Thank you, Patty, for supporting the channel. I also see you down in the comments, so thank you so much. And the question is, what to do if your seeds grow too lanky before it's time to move them outside. There are two things I do, Patty, to address that issue. I will trim back a seedling, and not all seedlings you can do this to, but I will do a trim back. So for example, I'm going to grab over here the menthol mint. Perfect example. This is growing pretty tall, pretty lanky, almost like it's reaching towards the light. So what I will do, if I find this getting too big, I will just trim this back. And you can do that with mint, you can trim it back. So depending on the seedling, I will actually trim it back, and that way it gets it to a better height and it's manageable before I bring it outside. The second way, and I'm going to get another seed tray so you can see this. This is a tray of younger seedlings, and the example I want to share, if I can balance this, is this. Look at this, guys. This is Zinger hibiscus. Look at it. It's completely exploded. This is a perfect example of something that I will fix. So obviously I'm not going to put this into the garden like this. I would never do that. Once it starts developing more leaves, what I'm going to do is just pot it up. And that's kind of how I address leggy seedlings before I get outside. So hopefully that addresses your questions. But while I'm here, I'm going to show you what else is happening in this tray, because there are a few things. The first is I'm going to show you the celery, because I have two varieties of celery here. One is, this is Tango, and then this is Utah celery. Now, people say that Utah celery is actually better to grow versus Tango. I personally think that the Utah celery is doing better than the Tango, but you can't really see that. They kind of look even. I don't personally notice a big taste difference between the two, but people say that tall Utah tastes much better. I don't personally think so. I think it tastes the same. The one thing that happened with my celery seedlings is that I think I started these back in February, and then they all died. They all died because there was 1 week that I had the flu and I didn't get down to the grow room, and I was growing my celery seedlings in one of these Bootstrap Farmer containers. And the thing with growing in these containers is that if you're not on top of watering, especially when they're seedlings, then you will lose your plants. And that's exactly what happened. I had to restart these from seed. And so they're a little bit behind than where I would like them to be. Perfectly okay. They'll get to a decent size by the time I'm ready to plant them out. But just, you know, they're a little bit smaller than I would like. The other thing I have here is, what can I show you? What can I show you? I do have something exciting here. Just trying to think which cell. So this is strawberry. Strawberry is very slow growing, and especially because you have to cold stratify it for 3 to 4 weeks. So I think I put mine in, when did I put this in? January 23rd, it went into the refrigerator. I think this was during the tea video, the tea garden video. I put it into the refrigerator. I took it out, I think, end of February, and I put it under grow lights, and it's growing. It's just taking a really long time to grow. It's germinated. It's just very, very slow. And you want to get strawberries out a little bit earlier because they don't mind cool temperatures. So I'm hoping that I can get these guys out hopefully by end of April. I also have paprika pepper. I couldn't find paprika pepper for some reason. It took a while to find it. And when I finally got it, I started this March 1st. Did I do this as part of March Mayhem? I don't remember. And I will be potting these up soon. As soon as they develop more leaves, I'll pot them up into individual containers. And then I also have here, I have stinging nettle that I started. I never spoke about this one, but I just, again, I found these seeds and ashwagandha at the same time. So I put in some stinging nettle here. I don't know if you can see that. And then I also have some Victorian Posy and then another mint variety. This one is from Mackenzie Seeds. I have no idea. It just said mint. So this one is another mint variety. And then last but not least here, this was part of March Mayhem, I'm pretty sure. I don't know why I didn't put the date. But I have parsley, tarragon, oregano, and chives. And these are soil blocks and they're very tiny. You can't even see it. I think the oregano and the tarragon has germinated, but nothing else has. At this point, I'm going to talk about the soil blocks because I'm a little bit iffy on the soil blocks. I mean, they're okay. I just find because of the size of blocks I have the mini blocks, that it just requires a lot of watering. Like you have to stay on top of watering, especially while the seeds are germinating, because if you don't, the seeds will dry out and then you won't get anything. So that's one of the issues I have with using the soil blocks so far. This is why I go back to my Grow E seed starting system. I don't have to worry about watering while the seeds are germinating because it will wick up the water from the wicking mat. With all the other systems that I use, I just find it's just more high maintenance and they're better when you're actually potting up your seedlings and they can handle drying out rather than at the beginning stages when you're just getting your seedlings started. Personal opinion. All right, guys, behind me, I have some soil blocks. And again, look at this. This is already dried out. See what I mean? What's doing well and what's not doing well. So far, my coleus has come in really nicely. My coleus is right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's come in really nicely. This is chocolate covered cherry coleus. And I also have the petunias, the apple blossom. They've come in and it's looking really good as well. So I'm really happy with that. I also have lobelia that's come in as well over here. I don't know if you can see that. They're very tiny right now. And I also have snapdragons here, but they're very tiny. I don't know if you can see that. They're very, very tiny. And already I've watered this soil block today and it's already dried out. I just have to stay on top of watering all the time. So I sometimes water these 2 times a day. That's how much. So I think next time, I don't know if I would invest in a bigger soil block because they're pretty expensive. I'm on the fence. Just say I'm on the fence. So I have some bigger containers here with some more seedlings. Some of them are the same, but there are a few things that are a bit different. So starting off with eucalyptus, guys, this is taking forever. Of all the eucalyptus seeds I started, only one germinated, guys. So I just keep hoping this lasts right up until it's time to plant outside. I would love to start more, but I'm just not going to do it. So this is it for eucalyptus. What is exciting, however, is back here I have 2 lavender plants. We started these together. I want to say back in January or February. I think it was January. But they've grown in size and they're looking so good right now. I posted a status update of this on Instagram a few days ago, but I'm just loving how they look right now. And then we have our beautiful geraniums here. Look at this, guys. I'm in love with them. This is going to be so gorgeous. Look at this, guys. I have quite a few of them. I think this is the white to rose geraniums by Vessi Seeds. They are looking so, so good right now. And then, of course, we have the rest of our asparagus here. So I have some here, and then I have some down here as well. And then over in the corner, I have a little experiment. So you guys know I went to Richter's Herbs and I decided to propagate some of the cuttings of my herbs. They were growing too tall, so I cut a few back and decided to try and root it. So I put some rooting powder, and this is berries and cream mint. And then back here, I also did the same thing, and this is pineapple sage. They're doing okay so far, but I'm going to keep an eye on this and see how it goes. And down here is The ginger I just potted up as part of March Mayhem. So I have 4 ginger plants, and this is what it looks like so far. It's looking pretty good. There we go. I started them in water. I think I shared that in one of the videos in early March maybe, or in February. But this is how big it's grown. I potted it up into soil not too long ago, and so they're going to continue to grow down here. Last but not least, we have this tray over here. Now I do have other seeds that I'm germinating right here. Nothing's happening with them. But here I do have, this is germinating, this is alyssum. But here I have poppies. I don't know if you can see that. They're very, very tiny. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah. We have poppies. And I like to start my poppies indoors rather than direct sow them outside. So I'm really happy with how they're showing up in the soil blocks. And then the other thing that we have here is dianthus. Look at that. We have dianthus that has already sprouted. Not everything has come up. These are really, really old seeds, but that's okay because we have a few seedlings. So that's exciting. Now it's time for the thank you gift. To enter the $25 West Coast Seed gift card giveaway, all you have to do is the following. Number 1, you need to be a subscriber. Number 2, like this video. And number 3, drop in the comments what is one thing you're excited to grow this season. So I'll be adding all the submissions together and doing a draw on Sunday and posting the results in the community tab. So check there for updates. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you enjoyed my seedling updates, and I will see you in the next one when we talk all about tomatoes. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel again, and I wish you luck in the $25 gift giveaway. Bye.